A silent night starts with the right sheets. Cozy Earth's bamboo sheet set is the ultimate gift this holiday season, elevating everyday luxury into something everyone will use and absolutely adore. It's the gift of unparalleled comfort, making every night feel like a serene escape. And that is no lie, you guys. My Cozy Earth sheets are my favorite sheets in my arsenal. I love them so much I don't want to get out of bed. Cozy Earth also has incredible pajamas, and they're designed for those cherished moments of relaxation, ensuring you feel cozy and stylish all season long. So visit cozyearth.com/DSG and use my exclusive 40% off code DSG to give the gift of luxury this holiday season to others or just to yourself. And if you get a post-purchase survey, say that you heard about Cozy Earth from this podcast. Cozy Earth, wrap the ones you love in luxury. Again, that's cozyearth.com/DSG and use the exclusive 40% off code DSG.
Welcome to the Divorce Survival Guide podcast, where we have open and honest conversations about co-parenting, separation, divorce, and the hardest question of all, should you stay or should you go? I'm Kate Anthony, your divorce survival guide, and I'm here to help you navigate some of the roughest waters you've ever swum in and answer some of your toughest questions. I've been to hell and back. And now it's my mission in life to help you get to the other side of this process with your sanity and your heart intact.
Hello, my loves. How are you? We're gearing up, man. It is getting close, down to the wire. God, doesn't the holiday season just always sneak up on us? Like, what? Oh my God. Well, so here's the deal, guys. I have a great episode for you today, really important information. And also, I want to tell you a couple things. I have been talking to you about the Unbreakable Retreat. And it may seem like it's really far away because it's at the end of April, but registration is happening now. And so I kind of, I always talk about the idea of sort of throwing your hat over the fence, right? It's like you have no idea how you're going to make this work. You have no idea how you're going to get your kids taken care of, blah, 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 blah. But what if you signed up and then you figured it out? Because that's really how we do most things, right? So the idea of throwing your hat over the fence is this idea that like, oof, oh God, I've got to climb this fence. How am I going to climb the fence? How am I going to climb the fence? Well, if you throw your hat over the fence and you really want your hat back, you're going to figure out how to climb the fucking fence. So that's sort of the metaphor for this retreat. Look, at the end of the day, this retreat in the healing heart of Sedona, Arizona, is going to give you some space. It's going to give you a chance to reconnect with yourself and with all these other women who understand what you're going through, who might have different perspectives to share. One of the things that I find so beautiful about any group work that I do, in particular in Phoenix Rising, just because we're doing it every week, is that when you realize that someone else has experienced something so similar, they're always saying, in Phoenix Rising, they're always saying, oh my God, are we married to the same person? Are we literally married to the same person? Oh my God, they're all the same. And so when you get together with a group of people who are experiencing the same things from such similar personality types, you get these incredible new perspectives on it. And it can be so incredibly healing and clarifying. And that's so much of what this weekend will be for you. It is designed exclusively for you for women going through this process, going through divorce. It is not for people who are still on the fence. This is really for women who have made the decision. It doesn't matter where you're at in the decision-making process, if you have filed or haven't filed, if you're legally separated, if like all of that, none of that matters. But you have to have actually made the choice that this is definitely what you're doing or be in the midst of it. And then I am going to provide you with this transformational experience where you get to shed all of the weight of the past and the difficulties that you're going through, and you get reinvigorated and renewed with your own personal strength, clarity from me, from the group, and from the strength of the power of the numbers of women. It's really magical. It's super magical. And also you're doing it in Sedona, where these healing, crazy energy vortices are, if you've never been to Sedona, oof, man, it is powerful. If you're in the process of divorce and you're feeling overwhelmed by the emotional and practical challenges, if you have left an abusive or emotionally painful marriage and are seeking a path to healing, if you feel emotionally drained and you want to rediscover your true self after years of marital strife, if you're craving community and connection with like-minded women who are having similar experiences, if you want expert support, practical guidance, and deep emotional healing during this difficult time, this retreat, my love, is for you. So head on over to kateanthony.com/unbreakable. You can read more about it and you can sign up. And we do have a payment plan, of course, and there is an FAQ section at the bottom. So please, please, please take a look at that and really consider joining us. It's going to be absolutely magical. It was last time, and I know it will be even more so this time. There you have it. And now on to today's episode. So this is really cool. Today I have with me Saul Kennedy. He's the founder of BestInterest. And in this episode, he has joined me to share how this groundbreaking co-parenting AI-powered app is revolutionizing the way parents navigate high-conflict situations. It has features that automatically censor toxic communication. Hello. And because of that, it helps you reclaim your peace, focus on healing, and show up fully for your kids. So, in other words, your ex may send you this litany of nastiness, and BestInterest, the app, will basically comb through it and just text you what you need to know. And you can go back and look later at whatever else they said. But in the moment, you just get what's important. And the app does that for you automatically. How cool is that? Saul Kennedy is the founder, like I said, of BestInterest. And he is a co-parent himself. So he understands the challenges of communication and stress that often accompany separating parents. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Saul Kennedy. Saul, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this new kind of incredible app that you've created.
Thanks, Kate. I'm really excited to be here.
So, okay. Tell me about BestInterest. So this is AI, co-parenting app, communication, like it's all of the things that we could ever need. Why don't you give us a little rundown of all the things that we need? Yeah, can you give us like a little rundown on how it works and what it is?
Yeah, of course. BestInterest is a co-parenting app that is designed to help co-parents find peace, maybe for the first time. And it does that by using AI technology to act as, you can think of it like a mediator that's in your pocket all the time. It reviews the messages that are coming in from your co-parent and the messages that you're sending back. And it gives you advice on how to reduce the amount of communication, how to keep the communication more child-focused, and essentially helps you step out of that very challenging situation that a lot of us find ourselves in, where you have the big long text thread of 30 messages, and that's not helping anyone. So we're helping co-parents get out of that.
And so if parents are, we'll get in, there's some really cool features, but if let's say both co-parents are on the app and messages are being sent through the app, however that's happening, and it is this long, missive, the cool thing about this is that that's not what you receive, right? As the co-parent. Like
Correct.
The AI will actually filter through it and tell you what is child-centric and what you need to respond to. Am I understanding this correctly?
Totally. So the app will review the message. Let's say that your co-parent sends you a message. And just to give an example, what if they say, I'll be there with the kids at 8 a.m. Maybe you could try being there on time for once, not that I expect it, right? And it's that kind of slap in the face where you might go, well, but I've never been late. What are you talking about? And then that's when the 30 message thread happens, right? We get hooked in by the lies or the drama. The thing is, you won't see that. When you're using Best Interest, what you'll see is, I'll be there at 8 a.m. And that's all you need to know as a co-parent to essentially do your job as a co-parent, right? And you'll see a little flag in the app saying there's more to the message, right? There's something concerning here. And maybe you're with the kids at the time, or you're busy working, and it's not the right time to process what might be coming in. So later, when you're feeling more resourced, or you're with your therapist or support a friend, you can tap to view that message in its full original context. And you can even, download it for safekeeping if you need to use it in court or whatnot. So you can still access the original message, but it allows you essentially, because it's filtering it, allows you to get on with your day and not get into that triggered place. And essentially it takes the bite out of the response. So instead of getting into that defensive posture, you're just saying, okay, you just respond back, okay, naturally. You don't have to do any training on Grey Rock or become emotional ninja. It just happens.
Yeah, I love that. Because also or you don't have to click on the message and see what they said. Because my assumption is it's also going to stay there, right?
Absolutely.
It'll stay there. So if, let's say, you need evidence for court later on, it's all there. But
Yes.
You don't have to click that flag. You don't have to do it. Because in a sense, you're like, as soon as you click it, you're like, oh, let's see what he said, right? You're right back in it. You're almost in it.
You can think of it almost like you're able to, with this app, you're able to set a boundary with your co-parent saying, I am not available to receive your toxic communication. And depending on, what style of co-parent you have, they may not listen to that boundary and they might keep on sending it. Well, you just set a boundary. You're not going to receive it. You literally will not receive it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I just, for everyone who's about to go download this app, I want to encourage you not to read it. Don't pick up that rope, because that's immediately like you're picking up the rope. They know what I'm talking about. What if your co-parent's like, I'm not using that fucking app. You can't tell me what to do. You guys, you have built something into that, which is amazing.
I think it's one of I think it's the only app that allows you to use, you can use Best Interest without your co-parent needing to agree. We've all had the experience of asking our co-parent for something and then, getting the response like, no, I'm not going to do that, because they're getting something out of it, right? They don't see the problem. With Best Interest, you can download the app and you can say, I want to use the app alone and experience immediate relief. We'll assign you a brand new phone number, which you can give just to your co-parent, and then they will send you texts just as normal to that new number, and it will flow through the app. So it'll all be filtered. And when you respond, it'll go through text messaging. So they don't know, other than you just have a new phone number, they won't know that you're using an app to help reduce the conflict in your relationship. Okay.
Now, just a totally technical question. I'm assuming then, if you have if you both have iPhones, your messages are going to be blue. But if they're going through the app, they're going to be green. So
they're going to be green.
They're going to be green.
So if you were blue, you're going green. Yes.
Right. And so there might be some tip off or something, but it doesn't matter, right? You still get to set the boundary, by the way. And if they're like, why are my messages going to green? Why do you have a new phone number? you don't actually don't need to answer that question.
And, at the end of the day, courts just want to make sure that we are in communication, that we are available. They're not necessarily dictating how and how often. They're just saying, you need to be available to be reached.
Yes. Right. Okay. What other features besides this amazing AI communication technology? What other features do you have in the app?
Well, so Best Interest was created really out of a desire to incorporate some of these new modern co-parenting or these modern technologies into co-parenting. If you've already used something like Our Family Wizard or Talking Parents, you're going to feel right at home. It's very familiar. It has all the same functionality that another co-parenting app might have, with the exception that what we're doing is we're applying AI technology to it. So when like I mentioned about the messaging, so the messages are filtered on the inbound from your co-parent, but also when you go to send a message, you're coached on a better way to say it. So if you're going into a big long thread about yada yada, the Best Interest will say, there might be a better way to say it, and this is what we'd recommend, and we'll give you the examples and reasons. The other thing that it has is it's called an AI co-parent coach. And that allows you to describe any sort of parenting situation or even offline communication you receive and get some real-time feedback about how you should respond or what you should do. So it's like having a co-parenting coach right in your pocket, all powered with AI. And yeah, those are the primary differentiators.
That's pretty great. And so you still have the calendar, money requests, things like that in there as well?
Yeah, those are coming later this year.
Okay.
Calendar and money, those are coming.
Okay. We're still rolling this thing out. Okay, great.
Yes.
It's the holiday season. And if you're anything like me, you're on the hunt for the perfect gifts and a few treats for yourself, of course. Jenni Kayne is my go-to for all things festive, cozy, and effortlessly chic. Whether it's cashmere knits, luxurious outerwear, or beautiful home decor, Jenni Kayne has it all. From their iconic cashmere fisherman and cocoon sweaters to the brand new cashmere Jackie sweater, every piece is pure luxury. I personally own their everyday sweater, and it is so beautiful and soft. Talk about effortlessly chic. And if you're eyeing a coat, the Theodore and Après coats are winter must-haves. Plus, their holiday guide just dropped, making gift-giving a total breeze with options for everyone from splurge-worthy decor to favorite finds under $250. Gift yourself and your loved ones the best gift of all, Jenni Kayne. Listeners to the Divorce Survival Guide podcast get 15% off your first order when you use the code DSG15 at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at jennikayne.com. That's JENNIKAYNE.com using the promo code DSG15. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. The holidays can be draining, not just financially, but emotionally, especially when you're co-parenting with someone who struggles with alcohol. If you're anxious about your ex's drinking and your kids' safety during their holiday parenting time, SoberLink can help. Picture a high-tech, handheld breathalyzer that instantly sends your co-parent's test results to your phone or email. Here's how it works. Your co-parent will test at scheduled times throughout the day. Built-in facial recognition will confirm it's really them testing. Tamper sensors will catch any attempts to cheat, and real-time results are sent directly to you, allowing for swift interference. Both you and your kids deserve a safe and stress-free holiday season. Use the most trusted alcohol monitoring tool in family court to focus on creating holiday memories, not managing stress. Give yourself the gift of reassurance. Visit soberlink.com/DSG to learn more and save $50 off your device. That's soberlink.com/DSG. I don't think that I've interviewed anybody in the divorce space that didn't come by this naturally. You are a co-parent. You are divorced. You created this out of your own need and necessity, I'm assuming?
We don't necessarily choose these experiences, do we? They just kind of happen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was inspired to build Best Interest, certainly born of my own experience. I'm a co-parent, and I was in a very difficult co-parenting situation. We separated about 5 years ago, I would find myself getting into those cycles, defense and it would just, text threads would go on forever. And I had a hard time staying present with my kids. And that was really problematic for me. I would listen to videos and podcasts from experts like yourself or Dr. Ramani, and I would get some help, and I started learning about gray rock and yet I'm a very sensitive man. And so I would often find myself going into that, like, oh, this is really hurting or even defensiveness. And that wasn't helpful. And I just couldn't find myself getting out of it. And so what I did is I actually hired someone, a coworker from way back, and asked him if he could review all the messages coming in and if he could filter them for me and tell me what I need to know. Mm-hmm. And obviously not sustainable, right? I only did that for a short amount of time.
Sure.
But it kind of gave me a glimmer at what could be possible, because he doesn't feel emotion to these messages. He can look at it independently, but I couldn't. When I heard about AI, I thought, well, gosh, this could be a really interesting solution to apply. And so I started using, actually, at the time, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Started feeding in messages for my co-parent. And I started feeling, wow, like this is a computer and it sees me, right? It actually understands what I'm going through. And I would ask it questions, and I would ask how could I respond to this? And it would give me, non-emotional, very business-like answers. And that's really what you need, especially in high conflict situations. And so, I thought, gosh, here is a solution that could scale up to help other co-parents. And as you know yourself, being in such a painful experience gives you the juice to go out and want to help others out of it, because it can be so hard. And so I started Best Interest to help others.
That's so great. Since AI needs to be trained, how did you make sure that the AI that is actually answering these questions in your app is actually doing so correctly and giving good advice and isn't going to be, I don't know, infected or in some way, I don't know. It's AI, right? We've all seen Terminator.
Well, the AI is not going to kill your co-parent. No.
Right. No. Okay.
So yeah, AI, it's not to get into the technicals, but our AI was trained on a variety of co-parenting situations. We had a set of beta testers that used us for about a year. Okay. And that allowed us to build up a corpus of information that allowed us to train the AI. Now, we're not actually training on your answers other than, when you download the app and you input your information, we're learning about your personal story. But that story is not going to be transitioned into other co-parents, right? We're not using it in that way.
Sure.
So really, AI is just being used to help you individually, rooted in the training that was done during our beta test.
Okay. What happens if it gets it wrong? What happens if it creates an answer or something that's actually not a good one or something? Just, I know it's trained and all those things, but what happens?
It will. We're all humans are fallible, and AI is fallible as well. So inside the app, we allow you to rate up or down a message if it's particularly helpful or problematic. And then we can step in, our support team will step in to help you so that won't happen again if we get it wrong. But yeah, it's not perfect. I'd encourage people to try it out and see what it's like for them. Because it really is getting a lot of wonderful feedback from real co-parents experiencing it in real situations.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a naysayer. I just want to, because these are the questions that I think people have about AI, right? If something that the app creates, a communication that the app creates for you to send feels wonky or something, then you can go in and check the original message, right? That's why you have that flag that says we filtered out a bunch of stuff. So you can go and check what it is that was originally sent.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you always have the option to use the advice or not. It's never going to respond on your behalf, right? So you'll see the reviewed message, you'll see the reasons why. And if you want to just stick with your original message, that's totally fine.
Right. And
Yeah,
I think that's really important, that you are in control.
of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we've essentially kind of talked about like AI. There's AI for good, and then there's like AI for evil.
A lot of fear about AI these days, for sure,
There is,
understandably.
right? I think it is understandable, but also I mean, I use it often. There's another AI platform that I recommend all the time for co-parents, or this is AI for good, right? This is designed, trained, and created for good.
Well, the way I like to look at it, is I think a lot of people are fearful, will AI take our jobs? And best interest really what it's doing is it's like a really super advanced spell check, right?
Yeah. I like
It
that.
used to be that you had to type and you didn't have a spell checker, you had to look it up in the dictionary, right? If you think you got it
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
But now with AI, not only are we checking for spelling and grammar, but we're also checking for emotionality and tone, and so we're helping you compose better messages that will reduce the amount of conflict in your relationship. And it's kind of like having a little therapist sitting on your shoulder that's, whispering in your ear saying, maybe you shouldn't have done that. And that would be very expensive in real life. But with
Right.
Best Interest,
Right.
you can just have the app with you all the time, coaching you through. And then, in addition to that, we're not really putting anyone out of work, because this is a situation, as your listeners know, that can sometimes feel really dark and scary, and it's like a silent struggle, right? Especially if you're dealing with high conflict or narcissism.
Yeah.
And I like to believe that Best Interest is bringing light to that dark situation and applying technology so that people feel more seen and less alone.
I love that. And I like that there is that coaching aspect to it, right? You have a lot of content on the app and on your website that helps you sort of understand what's happening, why these communication styles are probably better, why it's better to not engage and respond, right? All of those things. And so you're really and this is, what I do all day long too, right? It's to help train each other out of that constant back and forth. And
Yeah.
it's hard, right? When we've been doing that for decades with somebody.
It's very
Yeah.
unconscious, right? Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we're not even aware of what we're doing. And then we have that kind of over disclosure hangover at the end of the day. We're like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping to get people out of that cycle. Yeah. At the end of the day, like my kids are so important to me. And I know that if I work on my co-parenting relationship, if I reduce the amount of conflict, then it will help them. And that's what matters to me.
Yeah. In terms of reducing conflict, right? Let's say your co-parent doesn't know that you're using this app and they're
Okay.
sending you all of these messages, right? And they're getting responses only to they're basically getting the gray rock responses.
Yeah.
And they know it's not you because you've always right. Do they know it's not you? Right. Because you've always engaged. You've always
Sure.
and they're like, do you find so far, or in your beta test subjects, did the conflict escalate before it de-escalated? How have you found people, the sort of offenders, quote unquote, response to this?
Well, I can speak generally to it too, just that if you go and take a course on BIF or Grey Rock or one of these communication protocols, and you suddenly, implement it in a relationship, right? The response that you get from the other side sometimes can be heightened and more aggressive, right?
Right.
But the nice thing about Best Interest, and I actually totally forgot about mentioning this feature earlier. So you can set communication boundaries with the app about how often you want to receive messages.
Oh, that's great.
So if you want to just receive messages at 10 a.m., like when your kids are at school every day, you can set that in the app. And then, other apps have that feature too. But because Best Interest understands the meaning behind the message, we can do it in a safe way. So if there is ever a message about a last minute exchange change, or if there's a true emergency, like Johnny's in the hospital, we will let that message come through. So you can set that boundary while feeling safe and protected that the emergencies will get through when they should.
Oh, that's great. That's really important.
Yeah. And so that really just allows you to step out of that conflict. So even if they're saying sending a bunch of messages in response to you behaving in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But the hope is eventually, even if there is a heightened response to the change, that eventually it'll tone down and it will be better for everyone involved. They're benefiting from the app even if they're not using it.
Yeah. At any time we set a boundary, I talk about this all the time. Anytime we set a boundary, people's first reaction usually isn't, oh, okay, cool. Usually
poke.
Right, exactly. Usually it's what the fuck, man? Like, and they're just gonna like shove, poke until it's no fun anymore. And they're going to have to take their toys and go to find a different sandbox to play in. And so what I love about this app is that it gets you over the hump of the poking, because the poking can be where we lose it, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And there's a difference between setting a boundary and holding the boundary. And this app holds the boundary for you.
Exactly. Even if you're not at that emotional place where you can hold it for yourself, the app helps you hold it. So you're setting the boundary in the app, and then it's doing the rest, and you can just respond more calmly.
And heal.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I talk to my clients about all the time. And I've talked about, I think, on the podcast a few times too, is that there's that period of time where you're separated, you're out, but you're not out because now they're just amping everything up and things are getting so high conflict. But this is also the time at which you need to start to heal. You need to start thinking about strategy. Your prefrontal cortex really has to be online. And if you're constantly getting triggered, you can't do that. So this app I think it's a beautiful way for people to disconnect, to be able to turn off that piece so that they can have their strategic mind online, sort of effectively start to work on some healing. Because there's a lot happening at one time that can be just an absolute shit show.
You might have, ongoing legal battles, right? And this is a high stakes relationship. When you're doing divorce with kids, it's high stakes. It's even if you're not dealing with someone on the other side that has a personality disorder, you're both dealing with a lot. Best Interest can help co-parents that are both well-meaning, and also it can help situations where there's one that isn't well-meaning.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Hi there, I'm Andrea Owen, self-help author with 19 translations of my books, global keynote speaker, and life coach. My podcast, Make Some Noise, has been serving up self-help in a simple-to-digest way for the last decade. The topics brought in each episode are practical and easy to implement around topics such as working through fears that keep you stuck, different modalities of therapy, managing your negative self-talk, and more. We bring you guest experts, solo episodes, and I even coach listeners on the air around relatable struggles. I also do my best to weave my sense of humor into some heavy topics because, let's face it, life can be pretty hard, and it's so much better when we can have some fun while walking through our challenges. Whether you're seasoned in personal development or just starting out, Make Some Noise podcast will help you become the best version of yourself, the person you're proud of when you look in the mirror and show up in your life. Simply search Make Some Noise with Andrea Owen wherever you listen to your podcasts.
When you are dealing with something so high stakes, it is really important that you remain as sort of calm, cool, and collected as possible. because, again, with the strategy, but also when we're being abused and when it's constantly coming in, we become emotional. And when we are emotional, we don't present well. And so if you end up in court with all of that emotion sort of piled on and trying to like get your point across and get someone to just understand and see what's happening, we kind of look like the crazy ones.
The messages that we might send in, the heat of the moment could be used against us,
That's
even
right.
without context, right? Because courts don't necessarily ask for the full context. They might just take that one message where you're getting irate or defensive, and paint a picture of you that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having best interest on your side, keeping you on track, making sure that the messages will be received well by a court can really be helpful for that as well, to protect you.
100%. 100%. What else do you want people to know about this? Is there anything I haven't asked you about your app and your experience?
I think one thing that comes to mind about, my own journey, and I'm sure you have this experience too, Kate, where taking this painful experience and turning it into a solution that helps others is extremely cathartic. And I really hope that my efforts here in building this app can help even one other co-parent. I feel like I've done a really good job. That's what it is about for me, is helping people out of these really difficult, painful situations so that they can focus again on their kids. They can focus on building the next chapter of their life. That's what really matters here. It's not about the past. It's about healing and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I love what you said before about like you found yourself, you were not able to be present with your children because you're whether your brain space or your phone space is just being taken up by all of this, right? And so what this app does is really allows you, like, it kind of takes it off your plate so that you can actually just be present with your kids.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I actually, going back, I left my job at Google when my daughter was born to be a full-time dad. And I had been in tech, and that was my life. And I just knew I really wanted to be a super present father. Challenging as it was, adding on divorce and, co-parenting was just so overwhelming. And it's nice to be in a place of more peace now, to be able to look back and say things are better. And I'm hoping that the best interest solution can help co-parents get to that place quicker, right? So that they can move on and be present with their kids and start rebuilding their life.
So where can everybody find the app?
Best Interest is available on the App Store and the Play Store, so for Android and iOS, and it's available today. They can download it directly. You can just type in Best Interest for Co-Parents, and it will pop up. You can also go and learn more about the app at bestinterestapp.com.
Amazing. Saul, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. I think this is a wonderful tool. I will absolutely be recommending it to all of my clients and obviously my listeners. And I really, really wish you the best of luck with it.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate. You warm my heart.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Divorce Survival Guide podcast. If you like what you hear, head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in and leave me a review. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Divorce Survival Guide. I'll see you next time, and until then, remember, you, my love, deserve to be happy.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.